What's up, everybody?
Yeah, good evening. I guess we'll be back on a Thursday schedule this week for upload. So
It's the mustaches in this episode.
that's right. That's right. When I saw you had gone to just a straight mustache, I was like, man, that's a good look.
Marcy she has very mixed, well, she actually doesn't have mixed feelings. She has very strong feelings about it.
Strong negative feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kaylin has she's come to accept it. She hates when I go like completely clean shaven. If I'm like got a little bit of like a couple days just kind
A
of
little scruff there.
yeah elsewhere, and it's not just a baby face with a mustache. Yeah, I think that really creeps her out. What it's
I can kind of see that, yeah, because I didn't clean shave. I just took no guard, shaved everything, and left the mustache, and I keep a pretty heavy 5 o'clock shadow, and so yeah, I feel like if I clean shave, that's when you start to enter that like looking like a pedophile, you know.
Well,
like,
I usually like first thing in the week. If we go to church, it's usually on Sunday. If I don't end up making it to church, it's usually Monday. I'll shave, and then I pretty much don't shave again. The rest of the face.
do you clean shave when you do that?
Oh yeah.
So you're a pedophile for like 2 days.
Yeah. So she's not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. So, but I think she's at the point now where she knows I'm stubborn and hard headed enough that the more she doesn't like it, the more I'm going to resist getting rid of it. So
yeah. Well, that's what I have like jokingly shaved whenever I'd be getting rid of the beard, and I'll have like a big Fu Manchu or something, but now Sunday,
for just like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I'll like walk in there and she's like, not a chance. No. But Sunday before church, my beard had gotten pretty long again. And I was like, it was feeling a little springy outside. So I was like, I'm going to shave. So I started shaving it all off, and I was like, hell, I'm going to leave the mustache. And I have a hard time getting it straight.
I still do, even like when I'm trimming up, like a lot of times
Well, that's what I just was like, I got it pretty straight. And I was like, that might be the straightest I've ever got a mustache. And I said, it's straight enough. I was like, hell, if it's a little bit off, that adds a little character to it. So I was like, I'm going to leave it. Yeah, I went in there and she was like, oh my gosh. And then it didn't help. We get to church and like a couple of people, like a couple dudes were like, man, I wish I could rock a mustache like that. And Marcy's like, stop telling him this. And then like a couple of women, we had to go to a funeral later, and they were like, man, that looks good, Logan. And she was like, oh my gosh.
Oh man.
So yeah, I'm gonna wear it for a little while.
Well, the mustache, I feel like, has made a comeback.
It has, yeah, it has.
I know somebody referenced because of the new Top Gun, right? Everybody's got them, which I have not even seen the new Top Gun. So,
oh man, you need to see it.
Well, it's kind of on my list of things I do need to see. But
yeah, it's good. Well, we're gonna crack open.
A big happening for me that may lead to me watching Top Gun. I actually told you this earlier.
Yeah.
Got high-speed internet at the house, baby.
You joined 2009 or whatever year they introduced it.
Yeah, whatever year you moved away from dial-up, that's the year I'm now in.
Yeah.
So,
so did it unleash a new world for you?
I have not tried to upload anything yet to YouTube or anything, which is really going to be a test for it, but as far as just streaming, like and us watching stuff on TV, oh yeah, it's
you're never gonna sleep again.
Well, and it wasn't so bad like we were watching something like on Netflix or Prime, something that was recorded, more or less. But when we tried to watch like ball games or something that we want to watch live, it was painful, like incredibly painful. And I watched Tennessee play baseball last night. 100% HD the whole time. I was playing on my phone at the same time, also on Wi-Fi. And because normally for you guys out there, like we have a rule in our house, if we're trying to watch a ball game, all devices have to be turned off Wi-Fi. Take the kids' iPads away, because literally you can like get like a text message, and if you pull out your phone and open it, the TV freezes.
Yeah.
So it's a brave new world at our house.
Man, so your YouTube's about to take it to the next level.
Well, I've thought about that. It will be nicer because, like, normally what I have to do, whether it's me uploading these videos for Talk Dirt to Me or even my short videos for just my Hurricane Creek Farms channel, yeah, I have to go to town. Go to the office, which I'm there, somewhere between 4 and 6 days a week anyway. But still, a little bit of a hassle. I have to grab my backpack, throw my laptop and all in there, and yeah, it's just now if I can just click upload there at the house and not worry about it, like, oh man, yeah, that will be nice.
That will. Well, this is a cool episode. There is some pretty cool stuff going on in the ag world right now that we've kind of talked about a little bit before. But so in honor of that, I had run by a liquor store and I saw this freaking 14-year-old bourbon. I was like, man, got to try that out. And so it's Calumet Farms. I've never had any of their bourbon. And it was, it was a little pricey, but 14-year-old bourbon's pretty darn, that's aged pretty well. And it's got pretty good taste. Have you tried it?
I've not. I poured mine. I was just reading about it. Yeah, they were big. Of course, Kentucky, I guess, is known for two things.
Derby and bourbon.
Yeah, horse racing and bourbon. Yeah, they were big into the thoroughbred world. I believe it said 2 Triple Crown winners, 8 Kentucky Derby winners, and 8 Preakness winners.
Nice.
So
they got some cash.
Yeah, you don't get into that world without some money. And then once you get wins like that, you've got some horses that are worth some money. But again, they were probably worth money beforehand too. But
yeah. Well, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it says it was bottled 14-year-old. So, I don't know when how that all works. It says it was bottled March 2006. See, that'd be even older than 14 years, but they quit aging once they're out of the barrel.
Yeah,
but,
it would have gone in a barrel, like 92? Is that right?
No, it was barreled in 2006.
Oh, okay. Barreled. I thought you said bottled. Okay.
No.
So
it was bottled in like 2000 or 2020.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was about to say, dang, why did they bottle it and then didn't sell it for 17 years? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
No, that's what they, so there's an insider tip. When it's bottled, it stops aging. So
yeah.
If somebody has one in a bottle for 30 years, that is not a 30-year-old bourbon.
Yeah. The stuff I've got in the back of my cabinet that's been there for, I've got like some special bottles that, were given to me as gifts that I probably won't ever open and stuff.
What?
Huh?
Why won't you ever open them?
I don't know. We got one, Maker's Mark does of course, dips it in the wax or whatever.
Yeah.
We've got one that's, special like Tennessee orange. I don't know. I don't know.
You need to open that
I don't
thing.
know when I can find one of those again. And
just keep the empty bottle.
I can just buy the Maker's Mark with the regular old red, wax or whatever.
Just keep that empty bottle.
Stuff like that. I got and some of the, none of these are like super high dollar, but got a bottle of Jack Daniel's single barrel Ducks Unlimited edition. It's just.
Well, you need to open it, but you need to dump it down the drain.
You don't like single barrel?
I don't like Jack Daniels.
Well, I'm not a huge Jack fan, but at all, really. Even though,
I don't think I like any Jack Daniels.
If I'm gonna drink Tennessee whiskey, I'm gonna go Dickel. But
and I'm not a big George Dickel fan. Their Blue Label's not bad. They got one that's the Blue Label's 10 years old.
Which I guess another Tennessee whiskey. One a lot of people probably hadn't heard of is that Sweetens Cove.
Yeah, pretty pricey.
I bought a bottle of it and I cracked it open when we beat Alabama.
That's right. Yeah, because you had texted me, but I couldn't get over there.
When I bought it, I said, I put it away and I said, that's when I'm going to open it. I said, when we beat Alabama.
Yeah.
And
didn't even have to wait a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when I bought it.
You'd had it a year, hadn't you?
Yeah, this wasn't the first potential for me to open it this past fall, but that football had barely even gone through the uprights, and I'd already had my hands on it because I knew I was going for it. I knew where my cigar and my bourbon were. I was ready. I was ready to light the cigar and pour a glass, and I did. But yeah. And hey, and it's Calumet Farm.
I was gonna say I got to look and I said, hell, that's farm. That's a farm bourbon.
All bourbon is ag is involved, obviously, but that's got farm in the name, so can't beat that for. Talk dirt to me.
And it's pretty damn good. I like it.
It is. Say we've been sitting here talking. I'm just now sipping. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed with it. I mean, it was probably knocking on the door. I mean, it was knocking on the door of about $100 for the bottle. But I was like, I'll try it out. I like to branch out, because I also bought a bottle of Elijah Craig, just the grandfather or whatever, the father of bourbon or whatever, the 94 proof. Because this is, what is this, 96? Yeah, 96.2 proof. But it's good. Try it out.
Yeah, I'm of the type where I'll buy like the Buffalo Trace, but I like to go in there and I'm like, let me find something I have not ever tried before.
Yeah, like the Devil's Dick and stuff like those.
Is that really a bourbon?
No. Well, I don't know. That'd be a good name for a bourbon.
I have not tried that one.
They got all chicken cock and all that or whatever.
Yeah.
Whistle Pig, Devil's Dick sounds like it'd be like you'd be looking in that area.
I thought that was like legit.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll start a bourbon.
I wouldn't think of that as being like a top shelf bourbon. Like that's something a bunch of like 18 and 20-year-olds in college would buy a handle of to.
Yeah, be like, man, we're gonna get hammered off the Devil's Dick tonight.
Yeah, comes in a plastic bottle.
Yeah, MD-20.
Yeah. Something like that. That's something I don't think I've ever tried.
I've never had that.
Yeah.
I've never had that. But I'm the same way. I like to, there's something about buying some bourbons that I've never had. I like to try them. And I'm not I've tried a lot of bourbons and I kind of nerd out on some of them, but I don't consider myself like a good connoisseur. Like when I drink this bourbon, some guy would drink this bourbon. He'd be like, man, there's tastes of cherry and nuts and a little hint of chocolate in there. I don't taste any of that.
And then it finishes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm like, it tastes like good bourbon. And
I can, like, if put that and Old Charter side by side, I'm going to tell you, this is much smoother.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a bottle. I got a handle of Old Charter. I think somebody left at my house. I've got a couple of recipes. I use it for cooking.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, there's a few bourbons or whiskeys, whatever, I guess because it's a bourbon, ain't it? Is it a bourbon?
I don't even know.
I don't either, but I don't like Old Charter. There's a few I don't like, but they just are weird. It's like Jack Daniels. I don't like Jack Daniels.
I guess if somebody just like wanted like mix something, like here you go.
Yeah.
This is good for mixing.
Old Granddad is, man, that is the best cheap bourbon. I think you can get a bottle of Old Granddad for like $15, and it comes in a little squatty bottle. Now it's still 750 milliliter or whatever.
Is it plastic?
No, it's glass.
Oh yeah.
But it has a plastic screw on top. But it's Old Granddad. I'm sure you've seen it. It's got a grandpa's face, and it says 114 on it. It's 114 proof.
Pretty hot. Yeah.
It is, and man, it's actually, you can pour it and you can sip it, or it's a $15 bourbon, so you don't feel bad if you mix it with something.
Yeah.
But Old Granddad is good, and here's how before we jump into it, I'll tell you lack of my like whiskey knowledge when I was a kid, which I guess is a good thing. But I love some George Thorogood and his song "I Drink Alone." You know that song?
Yeah.
So, he sings in there. He's like, every night just before he says, he goes, I drink alone, just me and old granddad or something. I prefer to drink alone, just me and old granddad. And I remember hearing that part when I was a kid, and I'd be like, well, then he's not drinking alone. Like, if he's drinking with old granddad, he ain't drinking alone.
I've never, and I know that song. I know exactly what song you're talking about, but I've never, I guess, paid that close attention to the lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, he is not talking about his grandpa. He's talking about old granddad.
There you go.
If it's good enough for George Thorogood, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, I feel like they should have done like an ad.
An ad, yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know, if you got a $15 bourbon, you probably don't have your marketing is pretty much like we sell to the people who show up to the liquor store and want the cheap bottle.
Yeah.
We're not running Super Bowl commercials.
No, yeah. I've not seen a lot of ads. Maybe we can get them to sponsor the show.
Hey.
Old Granddad.
Tell them to reach out.
Yeah.
Find our contact information in the show notes.
Yeah. We need a good bourbon. Now, one local shout out I'll give to is Blue Note. Blue Note is good.
Yeah. I keep a bottle of that in the cabinet.
Yeah. I got one or two bottles up there. Yeah. Blue Note is solid bourbon, and that's Memphis bourbon. All right. So you got a question.
Yes, one we kind of teased last week that Mark had asked, I guess a couple of weeks ago, commented on YouTube, which we appreciate the comments like we always say.
Yep.
And he said he is looking to get into the stocker business here in a few weeks, which, like I said, this was about 2 weeks ago. He sent us this. Here in Oklahoma, steers are pushing $2.40 or $240 a hundredweight. Would this be a good time to enter the stocker business, or should I look for a different enterprise to start out in?
Definitely cocaine.
Yeah, there are better cash crops out there.
Yeah, people wonder why we got the mustaches now. We are the cocaine cowboys.
Right. So, yeah, again, obviously we appreciate you reaching out. The question, it's a question I and really probably more specifically my brother has been wrestling with, because normally right now is when we buy calves. I mean, grass is starting to pop.
Yeah,
we're ready to turn calves out. That's what traditionally is the biggest part of my operation is we buy roughly 600-pound steers and bulls. We usually buy black, white face, kind of the highest dollar cattle in that range.
Yeah.
Because when we sell them, they bring a little more. And, the amount of money you have to invest is substantial. You got a lot more risk out there. Now, if the market holds, which the fundamentals are there for this market to stay strong for the next couple of years even, you should be fine. Because, you say you do like us, you buy them right around 600 pounds. We're going to sell them, in the fall at $850. Well, they're still going to, you're going to make money if the futures prices hold. So I would say, number one, whatever you do, or if you do end up buying some, I would hedge like crazy, whether it's, through like a LRP, the livestock risk protection policy, or buying a put or whatever. I would have something hedged just in case one of those black swan events comes out of nowhere.
Back up just a second. For people listening that don't have any idea what you mean by hedge, explain that.
So just protecting yourself. I don't even know what's the definition of hedging, but
is that like in the grain you can do a hedge to arrive contract,
and like you're hedging in a way whenever you just go ahead and forward contract, like good and well. Like you already got any crops sold for this year?
Yeah, I got a few.
Yeah, and so. Right, and obviously inputs are super high, but you're looking at it, and I don't know what's corn for September, October right now.
Like 570.
Okay, and so I don't know, but you can look at it and you're like, all right, I can make money at that price.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and sell, whatever 10,000 bushels,
Yeah.
And so you're gonna be protected. If something like World War III starts and all the markets crash, and you're not just going to be, lose your ass kind of thing.
Yeah.
Probably the better way, the way we've been going about it, and I guess last year was the first year we really did it, was we bought what they call the LRP, the livestock risk protection. And it's complicated, and I'm not an expert to talk on it, but basically what makes it nice is it's subsidized. So thanks to all of you for paying your taxes and helping me out. But now you end up, the government pays, the subsidy pays like a 30-40% of the policy for you, which why I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Just being nice, man. Just looking out for you.
Yeah, I pay a hell of a lot of money in taxes, so I don't feel bad taking it. But and so what we're looking at, and for example, I looked back. So in 2020, we bought just about this time of year. It was March 30th, 2020. We bought a load. They weighed actually 569 pounds, paid $138 a hundredweight. That's $786 a head.
Yeah.
The exact same auction just 2 days ago. So it'd have been, within 3 weeks of being exactly 3 years ago. They had a group, had 581 pounds, so just a little heavier, within 12 pounds, sold for $209 a hundredweight. $1,215 a head.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Dang.
So you're in for another $430 you know,
Golly.
on the very get go. That's you're paying, you know, over 50% more. Now in 2020, obviously there was a lot of shit going on in March. Like the market, we bought them cheaper that year than we did even the couple of years before.
Because
the market, we bought at a perfect time. Like the market was one of those black swan events.
Yeah.
Felt bad for the guys that were selling them, but I mean, hell, I was there to buy them, you know, kind of thing. And obviously comparing today's prices to then isn't super fair because there's been a lot of inflation now. Inflation isn't at 54%. Cattle prices are also helped right now by something we've mentioned several times on here. The supply is so low and looking to be low for the next several years just because it takes a long time to get from the day a cow and a bull get together and make magic happen. And then when you got a calf that's ready to sell, and certainly when you got one ready to butcher. So yeah, it just the increased risk. And so for like my brother, I'm like, well, man, what does it matter? Yeah, you're paying a whole lot more, but the futures price for November when you would be selling is really high too. But
what is what would you be right now? What you could lock in on futures? If you paid $1,200 for that head, what are you going to sell it for?
So let me look. Let me pull up exactly what the futures price. Well, where's my app? And of course, when you do the LRP, it's a little more complicated. Like it's all based on just where the market is. So right now, feeder cattle, and this is based on an 800-pound steer for November, and this almost doesn't even seem right.
So high?
Yeah, it's $224. I mean it's stupid high, and they're
so. Then what would
Oh yeah, like the whole big issue. Like for my brother,
are you saying you'd profit $224?
No, it's $224 a pound. So let's say they weigh 800 pounds and you got $224, which like right around here we usually don't get quite that good just because we're not in, there's gonna be a lot of trucking to get these calves to where they need to go. But
hold on, wait a minute, $224 a pound. You just mean $2.24 a pound?
Or 224.
I was gonna say, let's keep it.
Some people do it per hundredweight or per pound. So that'd be nearly $1,800 a head.
So that's $600 profit.
Yeah, well, that's $600.
Not
gross.
Including your
your
cost of feed and all that.
Yeah. Hey. So at that price. Now, again, we're probably not going to get that because right now, like that 209 per hundredweight that we could have bought them for, I mean, right now, if you go to, I don't know.
But hold on,
Kansas,
you could realistically, I feel like, could you not realistically figure at that range, all right, you might profit $400 a head.
Oh, you might. And the whole thing is just, okay, so if you bought, say, 50 head in 2020, we would have only been paying, just when you're looking at your overall investment, how much money you're out. Because if he's like me, I'm borrowing that money. Like I don't have that money. That's less than $40,000. By the time you get them shipped, you're right at $40,000. So a big investment. But hey, if you buy them today at current prices from our current market based on those just a couple of days ago, you'd be in for nearly $61,000, and then that's not even getting them delivered. It's hitting a whole lot more, but yeah, so it's a whole lot more. You're sticking your neck out there a whole lot more. And so that's where you really need some protection. So one thing my brother has considered and all right, we'll buy them smaller, buy what they call peewees or buy some ballers, some little bitty calves.
I guess, do you sell them sooner?
No, you'd still sell them, but say if you're buying them at 400 pounds, you're going to be selling them at 650.
So is a guy that buys them from you going to do what you would be doing? I'm assuming they're not going to
Then at that point, because they won't be ready to go to a feed yard.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why we like to buy them kind of where we do, because we got them just about big enough by then that they're ready for feed. And of course, nobody's got grass. I mean, some people got wheat, to graze them out on. Buying them late in the fall like that, but or they will have wheat, soon thereafter. So we feel like that's a good size at that time of year and whatnot. But just to reduce your overall, dollars, invested, you could buy them a lot lighter. We don't like doing that. We've had really good luck buying them at that 600 pound or so size, just because you're not gonna have as much illness. They're more likely to have been weaned. They're just bigger, older. Naturally can be a little tougher animal.
Well, what stinks, like what I was just figuring up over here and thinking about, even at a $400 a head profit.
Well, and you're not going to profit that. I mean,
no, but let's say the stars align and you do.
Yeah.
Even if you had 50 head, that's still, in the grand scheme of things, that's still only $20,000.
Oh yeah. You're not
going to make a living.
No,
yeah.
No.
Like, even hell, if you sold 100, that's $40,000. I mean, you could live off of $40,000. I mean, you're not going to, depending on your lifestyle, maybe your wife has a good job, but like, that's the part that still sucks.
Grow your operation from there.
Yeah. How do you get the land for the cattle? Because you get up to 100, 150 head of cattle, you got to have a lot of pasture around.
Yeah. Oh, and just about everybody, unless you're running just huge numbers. But and I don't know, necessarily what if he's a full-time farmer or whatever. But a lot of people, this is their side hustle. They're row cropping, but hey, we got some ground that we're gonna run some calves on for a little extra money. Or
see, for me, that would be great. Yeah. Like I said, because I got the row crop operation, and let's say I had the ground. There's like enough ground here I can run 50 head on, and it's relatively low maintenance. I can take care of them, do what I got to do, and then at the end of the year, here's a bump of 20 grand.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah. It's folks like that, or probably most people like me. And they got a job in town, and then they do that. Just on the side for a little extra money for Christmas, kind of thing. And if you can invest a little back into your operation, upgrade equipment and whatnot for the next year, that's even better. But buying heifers is another way to get in just a little cheaper. Just because they're going to typically bring a little less. But a lot of times we buy bulls at that size just because bulls are going to be cheaper, usually $10 to $15, $100, just depending. Cheaper than the exact same steer.
Yeah.
Black versus black and same size. Well, heck, we've noticed now there's really not a drop off in price between bulls and steers. People aren't, they're willing to pay, just about the same thing. Cause I mean, it's just supplies are tight.
Yeah. Can you, when you get a bull at that age, is there any issue with banding them?
So, if we can buy them significantly cheaper, no, that's exactly what we do.
Just band them.
Yeah, because we want them all to be steers when we sell them. They're worth more.
Yeah.
Now, we do feel like they, certainly for the first few days, they ain't gaining no weight, and they may even be losing some because they're
stress.
Well, they're just, you can tell because typically when we buy them, and we just tell them we want bulls or steers when we talk to the order buyer, we get them in. It's usually fairly even split. Sometimes it might be only a third of them are bulls, whatever. When you pull up to check them for those first week or two after you've processed them and banded the bulls.
Oh yeah,
you can tell like the bulls are just laying down over there in the shade, or they get up, they're walking a little stiff in the back end, that kind of thing. So yeah, the stress, and I don't even know so much I guess stress, but just they ain't just up on their feet.
If I had a rubber band around my nutsack, I'd be a little out of sorts.
Yeah, and you got a buffet sitting in front of you, you're probably gonna be nibbling.
Yeah.
Whereas the old boy who got castrated at a lot younger age and is completely healed from it, he's gonna be at that buffet stuffing his face, and that's what we want them doing is on their feet eating as much as they can all day.
Yeah,
that's how we're turning that grass into money. But so it's. Yeah, that's the thing. So I was like, well, just try to buy more bulls. But right now the price spread isn't even that great there. So I don't know. What I would say is figure out what you want to do. And then I would buy an LRP policy, a livestock risk protection, but hedge in some shape or form. Talk to one of your local experts, agents or whatever that specializes in that. Because now I've heard people say, well, heck, we got all this ground, all this grass essentially. We'll just bale hay this year. Okay, and that's fine. Heck, hay's been really high this past year. We don't know, of course, what the rain's going to be like this year. If hay's maybe
they're calling for more.
Yeah, there may be an abundance of hay this next year.
Yeah.
The whole reason why, because again, my commodity is grass. I can just bale it for hay. But the whole thing is, I put these calves out there, they do all the work for me.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I've got some labor involved, but you just let them harvest it and turn it into money in forms of pounds of calf. It's just easier than having all that equipment, all that diesel, all those man hours out there, doing that work.
I'll tell you what, diesel, that shit's expensive.
Yeah.
That's just expensive. And I got a guy that messaged me today, Zach. He's a adamant listener of the show. What was it, Matt? Was that guy's name? Mark.
Yep.
Mark, we do appreciate you writing in, man. We hope that Bobby Lee got you there. Always appreciate any questions. And it's a good time to tell you, talkdirtpodcast.com. We got a contact spot on there. You can shoot us an email. But, reach out to us on any of the social media that we're on. We're both on Instagram, very active on there. We send memes to each other all day. So we're very active on Instagram. Both of us are active on YouTube.
I apologize because on YouTube, because I have my own YouTube channel, that's the one that stays signed in on my phone.
Oh, had that one kind of gotten lost in
I never saw that comment from Mark until you pointed it out to me, just because I need to do a better job of checking.
Gotcha. Talk Dirt.
The Talk Dirt page and messages, or not messages, but comments. But anyway, we got to him.
Well, there you go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reaching out. And if you're watching, shoot a comment below on the video and let us know something you'd love to hear or reach out to us. So Zach, he said, first off, man, thank you for reaching out. He messaged, he said, hey, man, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but is there any interest from you guys in doing a talk this week on the NCBA going against the big packers with the recent news about Brazil and the mad cow disease and trying to shut Brazilian imports down?
So NCBA did.
But then he said that can't wait to hear it. You guys are doing a heck of a job. It's my favorite podcast. So that's awesome.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Zach. So yeah, this is Bobby Lee's arena. And he did say he's still waiting to rock a hat and some window stickers.
Hey, me too. I'm right there with you. It's my favorite podcast, and I'm still waiting on a hat.
Yeah, we're in the same boat with you.
So, the NCBA did, which, I don't want to say they almost had to, because they have not done some stuff recently, where you think, okay, they got to come out in favor of this, and they don't. But, they did come out and call for the banning, at least temporarily, or halting, maybe a better word, imports of Brazilian beef because of BSE or mad cow there. And so, that was kind of like, wow, it's like if even they're calling for it, we probably really ought to do this. Because,
well, they're like, damn, China's making us look bad.
Right. And so, they do deserve a little bit of a, hey, thank you guys for finally doing something worthwhile for us.
Yeah.
That was in a direct opposition of what the Packers, at least 2 of the 4, would have wanted. And I say 2 of the 4, I'm sure Tyson and Cargill import Brazilian product to blend as well. But it's just 2 of the other 2, National Beef and, of course, JBS are Brazilian owned, at least majority. But there was some other big news this week involving recent legislation in the beef industry. And we actually hit on it last week, the Made in USA.
Oh, I'm getting this from my topic.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you talking about the product of USA?
But the NCBA is not in favor of it. So basically the USDA has proposed a new rule to close that loophole where they can slap the product of USA label on meat that's imported and then like processed here. And sometimes it's as simple as it's just packaged here.
Yeah.
And then they consider that a product of the USA.
But
NCBA did not support that.
What did they say? What's their defense?
I don't know what their exact I'm a U.S. Cattlemen's Association member, which U.S. Cattlemen's was.
What are the chances of us getting an NCBA guy on the show?
Probably pretty slim.
I'm telling them to kiss our ass.
There's another ag podcast, which they don't do them very frequently at all. In fact, I think it's been a while since he's uploaded one. He actually did a long one. If anybody's super interested, I'm trying to remember what the name of his actual podcast is. He interviewed, because there's all this infighting in the beef cattle industry. You've got these three big groups. I've talked about them before. You have the NCBA, which they're the one. It's National Cattlemen's Beef Association, but a lot of people say no, they're the National Corporate Beef Association. They're totally controlled by the meat packers. I was trying
to think of some good name for them, but it was going to be something like National Queer Beef, but it's a C, not a Q.
The other U.S. Cattlemen's, and then there's RCAF, which RCAF is like the extreme opposite of NCBA.
You said they're like the hardcore, they go to the too far almost.
I think they weren't even happy with this new proposed rule change.
Yeah.
Because they want mandatory country of origin labeling, which
is great. I like that.
Me too. I do too.
Yeah.
I want it.
And this is turning into the hashtag Me Too episode.
That's right. Well, today's National Women.
There you go. Day, so, that's right.
Yeah.
We're Me Tooing it up.
But so RCAF and mandatory country of origin labeling means, because the whole rule change that just got proposed just means it's all voluntary. Like, you don't have to put made in USA or product of USA on anything, or product of Brazil, or product of enlist 4 or 5 different countries. Because I actually paid attention at the grocery store today. It's some of the ground beef and stuff there. It doesn't say anything about a country.
Yeah.
It doesn't say product of USA, not of USA, whatever. So mandatory country of origin labeling, obviously, as the name implies, is mandatory. Like, every package of beef would say product of USA, or country of origin USA, or it might even list several countries, and that would be for like ground product, where it may have a smorgasbord of meat from all kinds of different places.
Yeah.
And that's RCAF's thing. Like, they want that, and they're like hell bent on it, and anything short of that is not good enough for them. And in a way, I respect that. But in another hand, you just, when it comes to playing the politics,
you got to start somewhere.
Right. And so that's where their heart's in the right place, but damn it. But they're like, everybody's got that buddy that's like just so far out there on stuff. Like, like
how Drew and them think you are.
Yeah. I'm probably that guy. Like they're like,
there's that damn libertarian.
Like our gun laws are good enough. I'm like, bullshit. We need to.
All gun laws are unconstitutional. Yeah. I say that all the time.
Any laws of infringement. We need to have fully automatic machine guns that you don't have to have a tax stamp for, or whatever.
I told a guy yesterday, I don't even remember where I was at, but I was talking to a guy yesterday in person. We were chatting. I said, I ought to be able to go to the local grocery store, and if they had an M60 up there, I should be able to buy an M60 and walk out with a belt-fed machine gun.
It'd probably cost you $10,000, but if you got it, you got to be able to cut the check.
That's right. I shouldn't have to have all kinds of permits. Now, so yes, you tapped into what I was going to talk about, which is when you started, I figured that's the route you were headed. But it is pretty cool. So, no secret here, we're pretty critical of the Democrats and old Joe Biden. I think he's a bumbling moron, but I'm kind of excited. Excited or a little intrigued by what the U.S. Agriculture Secretary unveiled, old Tom Vilsack. So in the whole grand scheme of that origins deal, they're actually trying to push back against big farms.
Yeah.
And that's kind of because I was reading this article, and I'll kind of summarize it here. That says the U.S. Agriculture Sec, Tom Vilsack, on Monday announced new steps the Department of Agriculture is taking to recenter U.S. ag and benefit small and mid-sized operations. And then it says including a proposed new product of USA labeling and an $89 million expansion of the USDA lending program. And goes down here, and it talks about the Packers and Stockyards Act governs competition in livestock. It's supposed to help there. But I like it, and I want to try to find this quote and kind of what he was all right. So this was pretty wild. So the secretary added, and we've kind of talked about this, that while 10% of farms made a net profit, nearly 40% of these profitable farms were owned by investment banks and large land holders who bring in more than $1 million per year. And he was basically saying, like, the small farmers aren't even, like, making a dent in the grand scheme of income, and a lot of them are barely keeping their head above float. Because they were saying here that it's, there's been record farm income like year after year, but it's not on the majority of farms. It says here 50% of farms nationwide brought in negative farm income despite record farm income. So like it's kind of confusing to hear, but the small and mid-size operations are basically just treading water, and the big guys are really doing well. And that's where it says Vilsack says the current structure is get big or get out, and they want to change that. So I'm excited. I'm kind of excited. Now, one of the things I did see, and I haven't dove deep into the bill because I just kind of saw it, but they did say kind of how they want to try to combat this, because it's going to be hard in the row crop sector. I mean, they can do all the lending stuff they want to do, but at the end of the day, getting the land is still, you got to be able to, when a guy is paying double the rent that you can pay, you just can't hardly get in there. But the cool part that they are doing, they're wanting to make it easier to sell direct to consumer and like to restaurants. And so that's kind of cool on the small farm scale. Like even with this produce stuff that I'm wanting to get into, it's kind of like, well, that'd be kind of cool. I'd be able to sell direct to like restaurants, or, if you get like you with your beef, if they could somehow break that law down where you could sell direct, man, that'd be huge.
I have to use a USDA inspector, or USDA inspected processor.
Aren't they wanting to lessen that?
Well, some people are. That they're the Prime Act, which I don't understand how all these laws like get started. Like, I don't even know if it's still up for like discussion, or like they'll bring it up for, if it's even remotely on anybody's radar. I haven't heard anything about it recently, so I doubt it is. But that one was proposed. Basically, you could have your beef processed through a custom processor, so non-USDA inspected, and you could still sell that beef within your state. I guess as long as then your state didn't have a requirement against it.
Yeah.
But that was one thing, because I reached out to the Tennessee Cattlemen's Association. I was like, hey, how about be cool if y'all reached out to our senators or different Congress people and said, let's get behind this. And they're like, well, we kind of thought about it. We're going to sit that one out. Like, they wouldn't support it pretty much. And it all goes back to Tennessee Cattlemen's Association is an affiliate of the NCBA, and that's bad for the NCBA, which some of the state cattlemen's associations will step out and they'll say, even though we're an affiliate of NCBA, we're going to, we don't agree with the national groups. But our state association, they are, and I've said it before, they are NCBA bootlickers. Like NCBA, whatever they say, they're going to, respect that. They worship, like the NCBA can do no wrong.
They drink their bathwater.
Yeah. Tennessee Cattle Association is just about worthless unless you're also in line with the NCBA. So for years I was not an NCBA member, but I was a Tennessee Cattlemen's Association member. And then I was like, well, this is stupid. Like nothing our state association. I enjoyed getting the magazine, so I hate that I don't get the magazine anymore. Like the magazine would have some decent articles in it, and I would enjoy seeing them
when you were taking a shit.
Yeah, notifications for.
Was that the beef magazine?
No, beef is actually, that might be NCBA's.
Oh, okay.
This is Tennessee Cattle Business. It's a good magazine. Like, heck, you could send them pictures a couple of times. Like, there's pictures of my kids, like in the, on the back page where they like have member photos and stuff. Oh yeah, you know, you get a little warm and fuzzy feeling over that. But I was like, I'm not giving, and dues weren't much, but I was like, I'm not giving you guys another dime of my money. Like literally every time I call y'all about any kind of issue, you're like, well, no, like we don't. I'm like, listen here, I'm one of your members. I'm telling you, like as a member, and I've talked to multiple other members who agree with me. Now, maybe we're not the majority because I hadn't talked to all of them, but like, I guarantee you a lot of members aren't taking time to call in. I'm calling in and emailing like, hey, like this is a real issue that I'm, you know, want you to address. And they're like, nope, we're sticking with the NCBA on this one. So they're pretty worthless in my opinion.
So it's time for you to start your own.
You know, and I've talked to another guy about that. Like I'm a U.S. Cattlemen's Association member.
But is there a chapter around here?
I don't know that they don't have like state. Now they have like different roles, like a district, you know, I don't know what, you know, supervisor or whatever. I have not been very active. I'm too busy. Heck, they had one of their national meetings, I think was actually in Nashville. I was like, and I should have, but it, you know, that's the closest it'll ever be to us.
We ought to be in, where is it right now? Orlando with Talk Dirt to Me. We ought to be at the Commodity Classic.
Well, heck, we didn't go to National Farm Machinery Show.
I know. Well, I was at the Gin show.
To the Farm and Gin show, Mid-South Farm and Gin, but I didn't even make it there.
Oh, I thought y'all might go Saturday.
We were trying to, but we had, my schedule stays packed between kid and family activities, and I actually had a work commitment for the vet office that day, and it just.
Well, there was one other. Oh, so you know, I'm hoping that maybe this will, you know, again, I'm very leery of this administration too. I'm always kind of like, you know, what are they actually trying to do here? But one thing that I got to thinking about, because I was talking to a buddy this weekend that's in the ag sector, and me and him were talking about how just more of the ruthlessness in ag, because I had a recent example of it happen. Apparently some people fishing on some farms of mine, not fishing, but fishing about them, like trying to find out about them. And he was telling me, he said, man, I deal with a lot of farmers. And he said, I'm telling you straight up. He said, I've had them, because like he would take them and be showing them some crops like that he's wanting them to look at, maybe a corn variety. And he said, we've passed some of your fields. And he said, they'd be like, man, that farm looks pretty nice. And he'd be like, yeah, it's a good farm. And they'd like, is it? So it's pretty good? And he'd be like, yeah, it's a good farm. And he said, Logan Hanks works it. They're like, I'd like to try to pick that farm up. And he's like, well, Logan Hanks works it. It says he needs that ground. Well, I'd like to pick that farm up. Like he said, I've had that happen on probably 2 or 3 separate occasions now, where they just keep on like, and they'll keep pressing the fact of like, well, I'd like to pick it up. And so because he was telling me, he was like, man, he said, I'm just telling you, you can't trust anybody. And it's like, damn, you know, that's the thing. So that's where like, I don't know what we got to do on the row crop thing. I mean, because shit like that gets to you, you know, it just wears you out. You're like, damn, man, where is anybody with some damn integrity around here? And like, you know,
all I can figure is those guys, you know,
they are the guys that are saying it work probably 5 times the ground that I do.
I guess, you know, I don't know, just they probably had it done to them. And I guess they just figure that's just
the name of the game.
That's just business. Yeah, that's just how things get done.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, maybe, yeah, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but just like maybe at one point in time they were above that, and then they had it done to them a few times. They're like, well, I guess this is how I got to stay afloat. But I don't know.
I know the older guy. There's an older guy that I worked a bunch of ground for me, but he was telling me that when he was younger, his family farmed, grew cotton and stuff forever, and it was him and like 4 other different families, and they were all in They were all in Shelby County. And he said, man, we all worked, I don't remember, probably each one of them probably worked 1,500 acres or something. He said, we all worked enough ground to make a good living. Our families did well. And he said, we never messed with each other's land. He said, all of us were buddies. We all got along great. They could sit down and talk and be like, what are you doing for your, how are you getting such good beans? He was like, we could have those conversations. And then he said, and then we had some guys come in from Tipton County. And he said, and they started renting every damn thing up that they could. And he said they rented out, like he actually ended up like completely getting out of farming. And he said these guys came in and he said they literally rented up like damn near everything. And he said to the point, like, he said it was like 2 operations that basically took over all the land that we were all working. And so I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. And that's why, like, when I read those articles and I read something like get big or get out, that like immediately stands out to me because that is the mentality of a lot of them.
And I know our buddy Lee, who was a guest here once, works for, in the industry. Well, he's not always.
Yeah, Cargill.
Works for Cargill. Yeah. No, this is.
They're very
information.
Diverse company.
I guarantee you they had a celebration today. But,
yeah.
I should have asked him how he had to celebrate, but I'll send him a message when we get done. But he said all along, like, and not just, and more like just from the equipment cost and everything, like all the equipment's getting bigger and more expensive. Like, and it's not just like keeping up with inflation, more expensive. Like just, it's insane what this equipment costs. He's like, the only way to justify that and make that pencil out is you got to spread it out over more acres.
Yeah.
And so, you used to, 5,000 acres was a big ass farmer. Now it's like 20,000 acres. And it's like, he thinks that he's worried that in the next 2 or 3 generations, it's going to get to the point where that's the norm.
Yeah.
You've got, these big.
You're going to have 3 farmers in the area.
Yeah.
Where you would have 12 or 14 farmers, it'll be 3 working all the land.
Right. Cause it's like, man, you just can't, you can't go buy a new combine and work 2,000 acres,
Yeah.
and 2,000 acres is a lot of ground. But
Yeah.
Like if you got new tractors, new planter, new combine,
you're going to smother yourself in equipment costs.
Yeah. Even if you're just running one combine, it's not talking about, you got 4 combines, like some of these huge outfits, like, no, just to have, one to run. But if you're, and eventually.
Well, that's like a trackhoe. I've had all these trackhoes. My deers broke down again. Did I tell you that?
No, man.
Back down again. I took a diesel bath in it yesterday.
Still a fuel issue?
Still a fuel issue. It has so much rust in the tank. Like
I'd get that sucker running.
And set it on fire?
Well, that's one option. Or sell it.
Well,
trade it in. Because I'd feel bad selling it to another individual.
Yeah, I'd be like, it purrs like a kitten, man. This thing runs great. No,
I really want Stribling to end up with it.
I do. Yeah, that's what I need to be like. Man, I'll trade this thing in. No, that would be good. But man, it had been running and stopped running again. Mr. Cookie, I had him out there on it, and he called, and I got out there. And so I was like, man, we're going to just have to drain the tank. Because it was so bad. We took the fuel filters off, and I was pumping the primer, and it was not pumping fuel. Like, it was not even
that much rust in it?
Yeah. Like, it was putting air through the line, but it was not letting any fuel get through. Just a little bit of air. And so...
How does a tank rust that bad? I guess to get water in there?
Diesel will get water in it. Because they always have the water and fuel separator, and it'll be water in there. And it had to have just sat. Or, also them tanks sweat inside there, and it'll just get...
I think there'd be somebody that could come up with a way...
A stainless tank or something.
A tank that wouldn't be subject to rusting.
Well, this must be bad. Man, there's some gnats in here or something. But it had a little petcock thing on the bottom of it, and I was like, I'm gonna just try to drain it. So I turned the valve, I'm having to reach up under there, and I mean it's dead. It went dead, and so the track it's straight, so the track is in the way. But I had my arm up under there, and I broke the thing open, and no fuel came out. And I was like, all right. So I got a wrench.
That much sediment in there.
Yeah, I got a wrench. Reached up in there. I took the whole thing off. So it's
plug.
just yep, and no fuel came out. And I looked at the petcock, and it was just full of rust. And like I took a stick
and say run a wire or something up in there.
Yeah, then diesel was like, just came out. Oh, I mean, diesel was running all up ran all down my arm.
It smelled lovely.
I did, yeah. That's what. Like I walked in because I had like just a few paper towels, so I was able to wipe my arm off. And yeah, I got in and I was like, does this turn you on? It made me think of Sex Panther.
I was about to say, was it quite pungent?
Yeah, it stings the nostrils.
Is that what Marcy said when you walked in?
Yeah, she was, she made the Panther sound when I came in. But I'm on, the plan actually is Friday because it's still supposed to rain tomorrow. So the plan Friday is I'm going to have to go out there and we're going to actually pump the fuel out of the tank. And we're going to fashion a hose on a shop vac, and we're going to run it in there and try to just suck out all the loose that we can. And, yeah.
Well, the drama, and I've just now thought about it, is the Volvo, is the track back on it?
No, it's not. We went out there yesterday. Like, I hurt myself.
You got 2 trackhoes and
zero nothing. Run. Yeah, neither is running. And this is the time that I can tell we're getting close to starting. Because I'm back to where I'll wake up at like 2 a.m. and I'll lay there and I'll think about the things that I need to get done.
Yeah.
And right now it's the trackhoe, and it's not even the Volvo. I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. I own that farm. I'm like, yeah, it's just slowing down a little bit, but I'm like, whatever. But this other trackhoe, I had so much planned for what it was going to have done by now, and none of it is done by now. And so I'm like waking up in the middle of the night thinking about, man, there's so much shit that I need done with that trackhoe. Yeah, it's like haunting me at night. And that trackhoe, but see, there you go. Let's talking about equipment. So I got, I think I had mentioned, in hindsight, I would have leased a machine. I don't know what a lease would cost, but a new trackhoe like that would be about probably, I'm going to say a trackhoe like that brand new would probably be about $250,000. And so I know what it would cost to lease one like that, or rent one. You can rent them daily, monthly, or daily, weekly, or monthly. How much do you think to lease a 50,000-pound trackhoe, brand new, Caterpillar at 320, whatever it is? It'd be a Caterpillar equivalent. What would your guess be to rent one for a month?
Rent one for a month. Unlimited hours you could put on it?
I think so. Yeah, you get it for a month.
I'm going to go high. What I think would be high, like 10 grand.
Well, you got to go higher.
Damn.
Around $22,000 a month.
God almighty.
Yeah, around $22,000 a month to rent one. And so I was like, all right, so to lease one, I mean, for reference, again, and I'm fine with sharing these numbers.
And they don't supply the driver and the fuel and all that.
Yeah, no. For reference on that, I bought the deer for $70,000.
You know what's crazy? And I'd have to go back and look, because we had a bunch of dirt work and dozer work and stuff done. It seems like I was wanting to say that it cost us about $1,000 a day for them to run.
Yeah.
But obviously that was them doing everything. Like that was them providing the fuel, them providing the labor, the machine, the wear and tear. Like that was me just saying, hey, can you do this work for me? Yeah, this is what it's going to, I'll have to go back and look, but I think, I can ask my brother because he's had some done too. I think, yeah, that was hiring it all out was about $1,000 a day.
Well, let's see here. All right, so
that's, yeah. I mean,
let's figure up. All right, let's just get an idea here. So let's say I rented one, $22,000 a month. Now I got a guy working for me. I would. Does that thing got lights on it? Oh,
I'd hire 3 or 4 guys. We'd be running 24/7.
Well, I was gonna say, hold on, let's get an idea of what that would look like a month. All right, so and the guy that's working for me, he's already said like he'll work every day. He don't care. He was like, man, I'm retired. I don't care. I'll work Saturday and Sunday. So I'll just say on a 30-day month, and where he's running, you could actually run in the rain because it's pasture ground, so it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So on a 30-day month, let's say he could run 25 days. I mean, he's going to have some days where he's, whatever. So 25 days, let's just say, I'm not going to say what I pay the guy. I'll say $15 an hour. And he's putting in 8-hour days because he's retired. He ain't wanting to like break himself.
Yeah.
So what's 8 times 15?
$120.
All right. So $120 times 25 days.
That's $3,000.
All right. So there's $3,000 is what I'm paying him a month. So, and then $22,000 for the machine.
You're at $25,000.
All right. Well, fuel is going to smoke my ass because if he's running every 3 days, I'm going to have to fill this thing up with fuel. So 25.
Yeah, that's 200 hours.
20. Yeah.
It's 200 hours the machine will be running, assuming he's running it the whole time.
What is 25 divided by 3?
Oh,
is that 8?
Basically, 24.
Yeah.
8.
So 8, that's 8 fill-ups. Man, a fill-up. All right, those newer ones, I'll just say it holds 100. I'll just say 110 gallons, and probably paying $4. So $4.40 times 8, so that's $35.20.
I was about to say.
So
you're gonna be basically at $30,000 by the time you have to do any other sort of maintenance at all.
The only good perk to it is, you don't do any maintenance. Like if something breaks down,
that's true. Yeah.
They fix it. But you're literally looking at around $30,000 a month, renting one. And that's why I was like, damn, like this deer is a pain, but it's like,
I'm gonna double check that guy that I used to charge is about $1,000 a day, per man, per machine or whatever. Yeah. You just need to get him out there.
Sounds like it, but I'm going to say leasing one. I'm going to just guess your lease would probably it's got to be like $60,000 a year, $70,000 a year.
Oh, well, yeah, that'd be the way to go. If it's $22,000 a month.
Yeah.
My gosh. And I know those are super expensive machines, but man alive, they don't want to, I bet they don't lease many per the month.
No, I don't think so.
If they do, it'd have to be like literally a construction site where they have, I bet they never cut the machine off.
Yeah.
They keep some, if it's unlimited hours, I was doing the math, there's 720 hours in a month. I was like, I'd put 700 hours on it anyway.
Yeah. Have a night shift.
We would not cut that sucker off.
They do have lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. The deer has light bars mounted on it. And see, the thing with that darn trackhoe, the whole problem with that trackhoe is the fuel system. If I could get the fuel system ironed out, I have no doubt that'd be a solid trackhoe. Like the oil leaks, those was an O-ring.
What would just a new fuel tank cost? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I ought to probably look. It's just a pain taking it off because the problem is I'm actually having to use my side-by-side to get to it. Like I can't even get a truck to it. Like I just put tires on my service truck. I'd bury that heavy son of a gun trying to get out there. Like I looked like I had been one of them jabronis in the river bottom after I drove my pickup out there one day because I had to put it. I mean, we were like we were having a fun time. It was like back in high school, just trying to get to the trackho.
Yeah.
So I'm having to use the side-by-side. It's good Can-Am advertisement there, and we're actually going to really be, because we're going to have two 50-gallon drums, 55-gallon drums in the back, probably full of fuel. We're going to be working its ass off. But, yeah, so that's I don't even remember how we got on that. But, yeah, and then, no, we left from there. I put the little thing back in, shut off the fuel, because it was just dumping fuel out. And I had just filled the tank. So it has like 90 gallons of diesel in it. And I was like, not a chance am I going to dump that much damn fuel out and just lose it.
Yeah, $400 of diesel nearly.
Yeah. And so I put that back in. We kind of made our game plan, so we were leaving. And Mr. Cookie had bought a chain. Specifically, he had an idea of what he thought would do the trick. So we went over there to the other trackhoe, because they're 5 minutes apart from each other. And we get out there to the other one, and we pull on it. Now it never goes on, and I injure my hip in the process. I've been hobbling around today. Like it's it was yesterday was not aside from getting the windows tinted on my service truck, I didn't accomplish much else. So, yeah, there you go. It's getting to that time, guys, where my sleep will start to drastically be crappier.
Yeah, you have to start doing some of your whatever weed chews or whatever.
My gummies, I have to bust out, because I do have some full spectrum gummies that I will probably have to start eating to try to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Got a little THC in them there.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I was like, man, we haven't even asked, this was last week. The episode kind of centered around the track coming off. And I was like, man, well, I have not even asked you if we got that back going again. And
neither. Yep. Both trackhoes are broke down. I have had that deer. I was trying to think. I've had the deer for like 2 months, and we've probably run the deer for 5 hours.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the whole time, it had the oil leak, obviously, but that was a O-ring. That's not uncommon. But the fuel system, that's been the crux of that machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Hell, I might look at a fuel tank. I'd probably be, if I called Stribling, they'd probably want like $10,000 for a fuel tank. If I found it online, it'd probably be like $1,000. I'd be tempted to get a tank.
If they put it on, it'd be like
$150,000 or something.
So you can get a new machine for like same price as fuel tank.
They'd be like,
we put it on.
They'd be like, just bring your son to the dealership.
We pretty much start the clock on the service call the moment you call us to order it. It might take it 2 weeks to come in, and so by the time it gets there, $300 an hour, like
your firstborn child will cover the cost.
Yeah, maybe,
yeah. I have two. They'd be like, we might need an arm off of the other one.
Yeah.
You got it tonight.
Made in America.
I did the Milwaukee Tools last time.
He's
an inspiring leader. He is.
Inspiring.
I mean, you got one, or we did Calumet. I mean,
Yeah, we can give them a shout out.
That's
obviously,
good whiskey.
There's, I guess all bourbons by definition are made in the USA, but
isn't there Japanese bourbons?
Well, I guess can they not technically use the bourbon name though?
I don't know. Maybe not. Does it have to be out of Kentucky to use the name?
I think that's the big deal. Like, we're like Jack Daniels and Dickel. They're Tennessee whiskey, but even though it's technically basically the same thing as a bourbon, they can't claim that. I think it's the same thing with like the Vidalia onion. Like the Vidalia onion can only come from like a certain part of Georgia.
Yeah.
You can plant that same variety in your backyard, but you can't call it a Vidalia onion.
Gotcha.
And I may be completely wrong on that.
Well, this is good bourbon.
There you go.
I've enjoyed that.
As I pour one of their
I was
competitors.
going to say, you didn't like it?
Dude, it's $100 bottle of bourbon. I didn't want to. Like
I looked online. You can order it for $150 online.
Damn, so you got a deal on it.
I did.
I'll have to ask you off air which store you went to. Cause
Yeah, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. We got friends at both.
I was about to say, I have good friends that both are our local ones. I support them both.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, look, neither of them can be mad at me because I frequent both. I
usually stop at whichever one I'm closest to.
Yeah. Yeah.
One's attached to our local gun store, so I'm usually, I'm all up on the ATF's radar on that day.
You can get a gun and whiskey.
I skip the tea, but I get the alcohol and the firearms all at once, basically. And then our other one is actually just more convenient to my office. So
yeah. Well, this episode's going to be a tad long because I got to ask you two things.
All right.
First, have you ever watched Clarkson Farms?
You were talking to me about it earlier today. I watched episode 1 tonight.
It was entertaining, wasn't it?
It was. They dramatized the hell out of it, which keeps you kind of on edge.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that guy. Like, I was like, I gotta look up who this dude is.
I had seen him on some of the...
Well, I felt like I'd kind of recognized him, but yeah. I'll be watching further.
I'm going to probably go in. It's just 10:17. I'll probably watch an episode tonight.
Shit, we're an hour and a half past my bedtime.
Now, I'm going to go in here. I won't sleep anyways, so I'm going to watch probably an episode of Clarkson Farms.
Yeah.
But it is good.
Well, and I was, because you and your dad were talking about it, I was like, that'd be something good to watch with the kids. But
no, not very kid-friendly.
No, the language is yeah.
It's about like this show.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's about like us. It's not just, profanity laced everywhere, but he dropped an F-bomb there in the first episode.
The English people like the F word.
Yeah. Which, hell, my kids,
they drop the F word a lot.
No, but they hear me drop it occasionally. Unfortunately, I don't always have as much self-control.
Fiddlesticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, fiddlesticks.
My kids and the stuff I hear them say that they pick up on at school, I'm like, well, yeah, there's no doubt they say stuff they pick up on from me. So it's only a matter of time before I get a note home or we get called in to talk to them at school.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Clarkson Farms, check it out. And the other one, Bobby Lee and I, we're both married men. So
I know where this is going.
This is not a show that he and I will ever have to be participants on, but maybe you're listening to the show and you're wondering about.
If we got any bachelors out there in the audience, hey.
The show might be there for you. I had never heard of this show. I had a buddy ask me if I watched it tonight, and I did not, because apparently it premiered tonight. On Wednesday, the 8th, and Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah, Logan showed me the trailer right before we started recording, and it looks every bit as corny as you would expect it to.
It does. It looks pretty stupid, yep.
Which I shouldn't... your immediate thought is like, are any of those dudes even actually farmers, or they just got cast for this role,
One of them has a mustache like we do.
Yeah, one does have a mustache, which, yeah,
one of them's black. There is a black farmer.
Yeah, that they which obviously it's on network television.
One's gay.
They're gonna try to, we didn't watch it, but it would surprise me zero if
they found a gay.
Well, that would be like the perfect like mid-season twist.
Yeah, he's gay. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, or no, he used to be a woman like that. That would check multiple boxes all at once.
Yeah. Well, y'all watch Clarkson Farms. Don't worry about Farmer Wants a Wife. That one looks pretty stupid.
For us to hate on it, we probably ought to watch an episode.
Oh, God. All right. Well, then we'll report back. We'll watch one episode and report back.
Oh, damn, I didn't want
to. There you go.
You just to it. I was just going to commit to not hating on it until I watched it. I just wasn't going to watch it.
Now we got to watch an episode. We'll report back next week.
The way they described it in the trailer or whatever was it was if The Bachelor met Yellowstone.
Yes,
or if The
they had a
Bachelor
baby.
and Yellowstone had a baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is more just the Yellowstone phenomenon where, it's cool to be a cowboy now. And so they, had a show.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if they go into
did all four of them wear cowboy hats?
They actually, I think they did now that you say that.
Which that's even weird. Like,
so are they all ranchers? Or
I was about to say, because most farmers and even a lot of people that have cattle that you might consider rancher, a lot of them don't ever wear a hat. So, see, that right there makes it seem like they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we're
gonna withhold judgment until we watch it.
Because that's how, I didn't, when I took Levi to the PBR, I've got a cowboy hat. I got a good one from Buckaroo Hatters.
I wear one around the farm.
And that's how I am. Occasionally I'll bust it out, but like, I even felt a little odd at first. I was like, all right, I'm going to, because I have some cattle. I'm like, hell, I got a few cows. I can wear a cowboy hat. I haven't got the badge that Bobby Lee has of getting bucked by one. Like, he's earned the cowboy title. But I was like, I don't know if I need to wear one. I've only got a few cows. And then I get there, and I went ahead. I was like, because Levi wanted to wear it.
You could shake a stick at.
Oh, shit. And I got there, and I was like, hell, I'm more cowboy than 90% of the people in the audience. So I felt pretty good wearing it. But I will tell you, a crazy podcast. And damn, dude, this podcast is 6.5 hours long.
They took some bathroom breaks.
They had to have. I've only made it an hour in, but it's pretty crazy. Have you ever heard of Sean Ryan? He was a Navy SEAL. He actually lives in Nashville, I'm pretty sure. He's got a show, the Sean Ryan Show. He says the F word like every other word. But
damn it. See, I'm immediately on my 6.5 hours. That's a road trip. Which most of my road trips have a kid in the car with me.
No. And this episode is pretty wild. So have you ever heard of Chris Beck or Kristen Beck?
No.
So Chris Beck was a Navy SEAL that got out of the SEAL teams and became Kristen Beck. Became a transgender like after leaving the teams. He was a SEAL for like 20 years. And then he became a woman. And now he's detransitioned back into a man because he said that it like ruined his life becoming a tranny.
I mean, I can't speak because I've never served, but I mean, I would imagine they deal with some shit coming out of the, armed services, So my immediate, because of course, I mean, this isn't a PC thing to say, but anybody wanting to change their gender has mental issue. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, a combat veteran has a very legitimate reason to maybe not be 100%.
My first assessment of this guy, when I saw him like becoming a woman, I was like, man, that dude must have got blown up and took a hard pounding to the skull. And like, his brain is rocked.
Well, and even sort of a traumatic brain injury, just the psychological effects of it, and then, and maybe it's all those combined. Yeah. Wow. Yeah,
well,
that's a lot to unpack.
It is. It is.
I can see why it took 6.5 hours.
Well, it's been pretty wild. Like, dude had a terrible, terrible childhood. Like, so he was abused like terribly.
Yeah, so it goes a lot deeper even than
it
that.
goes very deep. And that's what, like, Sean Ryan is like he's pretty hard conservative, and he's been like, damn, like when they're talking, he's like, this is making a lot more sense. Like he kind of talks about like when he was a kid, he was the middle child of 5, and his dad would like beat the shit out of him. Like he even like lived in the shed. Like he had a terrible childhood. And he had an older sister, and he said she never got punished for anything. He said she was like the golden child. So he said when he was a kid, he was like, I wanted to be my sister because she didn't get any.
Well, and I mean, that goes back to what we said, like people who want to do that, like they've got it.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
You were not born a woman in a man's body. Like you had a lot of trauma that pushed you
Which he did become. See, part of his detransition, he actually became a Christian, and he was like, well, God put me in a man's body. I'm a man.
That's good. That's awesome to hear.
Oh yeah.
But and I don't want to turn this because hell, we could talk for hours. But like an enormous percentage of people who transition, like, regret it.
Yeah.
Like there's an enormously high level of suicide.
I was going to say the suicide rate does not come down when they transition.
No, and because I mean, again, you're dealing with a person that probably already has some mental illness issues.
Yeah.
And then they ruin their body forever. Like they'll never be right again. If there are some of these like teenage kids, okay, well now you'll never be a parent, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like, well, you know, all these like girls that decide to become boys and they want to, but girls are like, well, yeah, no man's going to want to be with a woman that's
got a beard.
Yeah, was a woman, then was a man, then is back to like, my God, yeah.
Especially if you go to the extreme, man. Like, imagine if you're a dude and you chop your wiener off.
Yeah, that's where old Caitlyn Jenner drew the line there, didn't he?
He was like, man, I'm gonna dress like a woman, grow my hair out, might get some fake tits, but I'm keeping the old dick.
Yeah. You know, having some boobs and getting to keep your wiener.
Guess you get to play with your knockers there, yeah.
Hey, you know, I mean, he may not be as crazy as I think he is. So it's probably a good place to end.
That is. Well, there. If somebody's interested, that podcast is pretty wild, but it is. I mean, I've never even seen
You
a
got
podcast.
a long road trip with no kids in the car with you.
Yeah, 6.5 hours long.
That's a good one for on the tractor.
Yeah, I just don't know if I could listen to that.
What's the title of it?
It's the Sean Ryan Show. It's Chris Beck / Kristen Beck.
Okay.
Hell, the episode before it is like 5 hours long.
And this is the last thing I'm gonna say because I know we're running long. The podcast I mentioned earlier, where the guy interviews NCBA, U.S. Cattlemen's Association, and RCAF, but was interesting. He never got like the president. He got the president, I think, the RCAF and U.S. Cattlemen's from like NCBA. They just gave him like some PR person.
Yeah.
But it's Ag Uncensored.
I was wondering if that's the one you were talking about.
It's with Jared McDaniel. Jared's a good follow on social media, but he had, in which he's always said that his podcast was never meant to be like a weekly thing or anything like we do, but he just does interesting ones whenever he has time. But he's a very, very deep thinking dude, and like they go deep into it. Like every one of them's, you know, well over an hour, and then he and his wife break them, like do a recap episode. And that was kind of, after listening to all that, was when I would never join NCBA ever again, and decided like, yeah, U.S. Cattlemen sounds like the one that makes the most sense. RCAF's still a good group. I think I'm actually still a member of RCAF. They just, you're like, damn it, guys, like if y'all could just help us out just a little here. like I love the how hardcore y'all are, and y'all don't compromise, but sometimes in politics it seems like that's what you have to do. And I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but anyway.
There you go. Well, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Leave us a comment below. Let us know. Let me know what you think. You think we can pull off the mustaches? You know, we look like.
I think Logan's is a no doubter.
Can we? Is it Magnum PI, Miami Vice? What's our mustaches? Because Mr. Cookie said I look like a Mexican. He was like, "You look like a Mexican." He said,
"Is that supposed to be an insult?"
I don't know.
No, but hell no.
There's some hard-working sons of bitches.
Hell yeah, we're very inclusive here.
And he was in construction. Hell, 90% of his workforce was Mexican.
He probably meant it as a compliment.
He might have. So let us know what you think of the stashes, and comment below. Like, let's get some interaction going, especially on YouTube.
If you're still listening at this point, we're nearly an hour and a half in. You can give us a comment.
You can leave us a comment, even if it's just a thumbs up or great episode. NCBA is assholes or whatever. Zach, that's what he said. His only thing, I said, you have any critiques for us? And he said, I wish that y'all would do more than one episode a week.
Oh wow, that's maybe the strongest compliment anybody could give us. But
yep.
Yeah, I don't know. People would get tired of us, I'm afraid, after that. If we get a sponsor that wanted to pay us and demanded we put out more content, hey, yeah, that might make it happen.
Yeah, that would work. And we got to get some swag. But thanks, guys. Remember, talkdirtpodcast.com. Reach out to us. Leave us a rating and review, whatever you're watching. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and the little notification bell on YouTube.
All the buttons. Just hit all the buttons.
Hit everything. Take care, guys.
See y'all next week.